Well, yeah, I'm here. And all
Okay.
I can say is, wow. I know Missy's got to be saying, wow. I've got, I was taking notes too. I mean, come on, I don't know how anyone can go through this and not want to have a session with Tam.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. I've got a lot of questions here, but I'm going to hold off on that because I know we're going to be doing a follow up again down the road here. This is the Wonder Network, where we discuss healthy options for humanity. I'm Michael Lane, and today we have a very special guest, our very own energy intuitive, Tam. Now, for those of you that don't know about her skills and a little bit about what she is about, Tam is an energy and medical intuitive and is also a certified master practitioner in energy healing modalities. She is especially skilled in long distance healing work for both people and pets and has been working with people around the world for over 20 years. How you doing, Tam? Welcome back.
Hi, Michael. Thank you. It's delightful to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's great to see you again. And I know you we had a reading a week ago. You did on me, and also on my little dog, my little Maltese, my little 12-pound fluff ball. And so we've had an interesting week, but thanks to your reading of detecting her dry eye, she went to a specialist just yesterday, an eye doctor, an eye vet specialist, and they confirmed that. After running
Oh, wow.
many tests, yeah, they ran blood tests, they did pressure. I'd never even seen this before because I even had the whole holder, and this thing. Some of you might know I've never seen it though, but it was just freaking me out because this thing comes out and pops her eyeball, and it
Oh,
tests the pressure on her eyeballs to make sure that there's the proper pressure. I guess holding them in the socket, and they have to do both of them. I mean, they ran all sorts of tests I was totally unaware of. But long story short, it ended up being dry. Everything else is healthy. She does have dry eyes. She's on 4 medications now for at least a couple weeks, and she goes back for follow up in a couple weeks. Already, I will say, just in the past 24 hours, her eyes already looking better. Um, but there is a very, very strong possibility that after we get all her inflammation settled down, because she's got 3 different eye drops, one for as a tear stimulator, another one is an antibiotic one that goes in her right eye because her right eye is the worst one. It's really inflamed, as we talked about. And then the left eye gets the steroid drop. So I got to do all these various times a day. I got to do them in a certain sequence. Plus, she takes a steroid oral pill a couple times a day. So that's all for a couple weeks. Once she gets settled down and everything is back running normal, probably going to have to do at least the regular tear stimulator drops for the rest of her life. That's what
oh,
they're telling
wow.
me. Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, when it's amazing. I'm so grateful that we got that information in time to help her. Um, excuse me. What I would say to you, the information I'm getting, just to kind of give you an update from
Okay.
this side, that I'm being asked. So when we're ready, it would probably be maybe in a month. So I'm hearing like somewhere between the 4 to 6 week mark, maybe a little longer. Let's do a recheck. Like remind me, let me know
Okay.
because there could be, once things are kind of cleared up, her energy's more balanced, and we can actually get in and look a little differently at
Right.
how she's recovered. Then we can literally see if there are other things we can do to remedy the situation at hand once we get the cleanup. Because I know the inflammation has to come down
Right.
quickly, because and now that I can say this, I didn't want to say this last week. There was a chance, based on the timing, that she would have some pretty intense eye damage, in if we weren't able to help her sooner than later. So you've got her, so that means she's going to be fine. She's
Yes.
gonna, so there's all kinds of great things with that. But I want you to know you did all the right things. You jumped on it, obviously. I'm glad I could help, but I'm just here as that conduit to bring in the information.
No, and I,
Information's there. We found it,
yep.
and that's great. But let's see if we can do more, just in case,
No,
right?
I agree. I'd love to. No, and I greatly appreciate it. It was a little bit nerve wracking when I had to drop her off for the whole day yesterday, and I kind of got a little pit in my stomach. I was worried about some vision loss, especially in that right eye. She had because I had noticed when I was putting drops in her eyes previously on the right eye when I put the drops in, she wouldn't fight me as much, and it didn't dawn on me for a while is because when I do the left eye, she didn't like it at all. When I do the left eye, if I even got that bottle even close to her eye, she's trying to wiggle away from me. And the right eye,
Sure.
she was much more passive. And then if the thought finally hit me, well, maybe she's not even seeing me very well out of that right eye, is why she doesn't fight me so much. But it all turned out good. She said everything's fine. So apparently, and what they've told me, and what I've researched, and might become helpful when you do another reading on her in time, because the dry eye is supposed to be generated from her immune system. The immune system attacks the tear ducts and decreases their ability to produce the tears.
Mm.
And that's where that's supposed to originate from. You'd think, you keep thinking it's something in the eyeball, but everything I've read, and I've had two vets now telling me that it's immune system related. It's all the immune system attacks it.
So if I recall, and I'd have to go back and honestly look at or re-listen to our conversation,
Right.
right? Because I don't always remember everything from when we go through all these pieces and parts with readings. But if I recall correctly, I believe what came up was it was a systemic immune system kind of action reaction, right?
You did. Yeah, you did bring up the immune system a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at that, because there are ways of dealing with kind of an uptick in trying to think of the right words here for you, because I'm getting some information that's kind of coming in right now, but I'm also having kind of a caution flag, like this isn't the be all end all information, but what I'm being given at the moment, just so you know, is that it definitely can be remedies. There's ways of rebalancing her entire system where she will not have to worry about that immunity part moving forward if we do kind of XYZ. So I need to look at
Okay.
those steps to try and help you. But I'm definitely hearing that not to worry at the moment, because there's lots of opportunity to fix things. Okay.
Right.
There are some things that I'm going to say that may be a little controversial. So I'm just going to say it now. I just want you to think about it as we move forward. And I know a lot of folks in allopathic world. I don't know what kind of veterinarian she's seeing as far as a
These
specialist
are all
goes.
everything that was something I was going to, because everything, so far that she's been through is all allopathic. And I
Okay.
was going to say I'd be curious of what a holistic or a homeopathic vet might say to see if there's something else that could be done.
Yeah, I think there is. And so the information that's coming through for her specifically in regards to that, and the information I want you and anyone in the audience who might be interested in these types of things know is that the allopathic world is they're great for so many things, but there is a kind of something that happens for people and pets, and this is something that I want to share just because I get it so often when I do talk with other people and for their pets too, which is there's a line or there's a conversational piece that we hear from the medical world that says your immune system is attacking this part of the body or that part of the body or you, right? The
Right.
immune system does not do that. The body attacking itself is commonly known as autoimmune disease amongst both allopathic and even some holistic and functional medicine doctors. So, even the natural health communities have kept alive the idea of the body attacking itself in regards to immune diseases, okay? Now, this diagnosis has become deeply ingrained in the minds of very well meaning healthcare professionals, both in human and in veterinary medicine, despite the lack, though, of concrete evidence. So, I think it's important that we talk about this because it's rarely questioned since it's actually been accepted as a fact. However, if you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, whether it's for you or whether it's your pet, it's crucial to understand that while your body is indeed fighting something, it's not turning against itself. Instead, it's battling an intruder, right? It could be a pathogen, parasite, some other foreign entity that's actually infiltrated your system, or in this case, your pet's system. So part of what's happening is an underlying issue affecting your body's internal balance or wiring, causing it to function out of sync. So as I've mentioned before, the body's out of tune, just like an instrument could be. There's potentially damage there. So we need to do our best to look for the root cause to find ways of tracing down where it's coming from. So think of it as your body's alarm system, urgently signaling that, something needs attention before the entire system is compromised or before it goes down, so to speak. By believing that our bodies are self-destructive, we may inadvertently hinder our own healing process because we begin to panic or think that there's no remedy based on what our doctors have told us. Now, this also happens for our pets, that in the future, our medical system will come to know this as a fact. But until that time, I just want to suggest that everyone be cautious, ask a lot of questions, do some deep diving into holistic and natural care with the health practitioners that you choose to work with. When I look at the body's energetics and when I've checked in with my higher teams or the teams that work with my clients, I actually get the same answer in regards to this concern of the immune system attacking itself. It's just not what the body's doing. I've actually been diagnosed with an autoimmune, or was, right, years ago. I ran into the same thing. I took a long time to be able to really understand what kind of conversations to have with my doctor as well as even with myself, because I knew that what they were telling me wasn't quite right, but I wasn't intuitive enough at that time to really understand more about what was going on and how the information they were giving me wasn't actually correct. So when I realized that the information that they told me was happening was not really happening the way they believed it to be, that's when I took things into my own hands, started changing things accordingly, and I got better. I don't want to say overnight, but we'll say almost overnight in regards to the longevity of time, because I started looking at things differently. So shifting our perspective is really important in regards to what we're talking about when it comes to labels, such as things like autoimmune. So, Michael, I think what's really important here is just understand that if you can remove the worry and the label itself from your vocabulary when you're talking about your little furry friend here. We have another wide open door that we can kind of walk through at a later date because we don't have a preconceived understanding of what is or what isn't regarding her situation. What we do is we walk in very open to look at what is presented to us, and we listen intently to what we're being asked to do in order to help her. My guess at this point is there's going to be potentially some different ways in which we can address this and help fix that particular immune system. But just know that, again, this conversation, the types of things that we tell ourselves, or even our very well trained, appreciated doctors of all kinds of backgrounds share with us, but it doesn't mean that they're always 100% right. So we just need to be kind of our own doctor in tandem, work with our healthcare practitioners that we've chosen to be part of our own team here, but always reserve the right to make a decision that's based on your intuition or what you feel is highest and best for your pet. So just think about those things. We'll get into that in a few weeks. We could do a follow-up. We'll check in on her. We'll see where she's at. Okay?
I like it. No, that's actually what I wanted to hear. That's great.
Okay.
That's great. It's what I wanted to hear. So, and you kind of tipped off to it without taking up any more of her time, because Tam really is here today to do an energy reading on a very good friend of ours, and her name is Missy. So how you doing today, Missy?
Hi there. I'm very good. I'm excited to see how this goes today, especially after hearing part of your update. Interested to see what's going on with my fur babies. So, as well as myself, of course. I'm excited.
Good, good. Well, I'm going to step aside here and I'm going to let you and Tam have at it. And I will be back afterwards.
Hi, Tam.
Hi, Missy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Good. Well, before we even opened up this reading, I had all kinds of interesting little things coming in. I want to see, because you've got a couple of pets anyway, right?
Yes.
And
I have
do you have
two dogs.
Two dogs. Do you have another pet in the house?
I do not. No, just the two dogs.
Just the two dogs. Did you have one pass recently?
No,
Okay.
actually.
Okay. So we'll talk about that as I've got some information that was coming in. And we can explore that, but it might just depend on where the conversation goes. There just seems to be a third entity that wanted to keep coming in when I initially opened up the reading before Michael introduced me. And when I do that, just so you know, I'm calling in for information that is available to all of us. I don't believe that what I do is anything special. I'm like everybody here and out in the world. We just have different gifts that appear to us at different times of our lives. I think everybody can do this work. And I think actually everyone will do this work naturally as we move in to the next probably decade, probably much sooner than that. So we can talk about that as we move into the conversation, because Missy, I think you're very intuitive as well. So we can bring that into the mix. I think you actually have seen some things that you aren't sure are valid in regards to your pets. So we may bring that up today too. But the reason I ask about a third entity is when I opened up and asked for information, I asked for the energetics and the guides that the dogs have to come forward. And so I did get some information from, it's Teddy and Sierra, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when they came in, there was information coming in. I needed to kind of separate the two. I did ask, just for the audience, I did ask Missy to send me a couple of photos. Sometimes I don't need that. But today, when I was starting to prepare for the reading, I kept getting an energy that was intertwined between the two, and I actually couldn't differentiate the two animals. I think there's reasons behind that, and we can, again, talk about that as we move forward. but I just kind of wanted everyone to know kind of where I'm coming from as we enter into the conversation. So when I was doing that prep, there was a third energy that kept trying to come in. Now um, it could be one of a parent of one of the dogs. Are they from the same litter or two separate?
No, they're brother sister. Yeah.
Oh, they are. Okay. So they
Yeah.
are. Okay. So that's probably what it is. I've got a very protective, either a sibling or a parent that they are connected, but as far as I can tell, it has passed. It's transcended to the other side because it was really strong and wanting to come through, and it didn't feel like it was here per se. That's why I was wondering if there was something I was missing in the household. So,
Yeah. They're litter mates, and I had to fly to another state to go and get them because they're a particular breed, American Eskimos.
mhm.
And yeah, I had to fly to get them. So
Okay.
yeah,
So
but they're very close.
Okay. So let's talk about them. I'm not going to worry about the third energy right now. It could be that they were just being a protective parent, so to speak, or sibling, and we'll get a little more into that as we move forward. If it matters. If it doesn't matter, sometimes they just come in because I've opened up the energetic kind of portal, if you will. And then, beings of all kinds want to say hi.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want to come in and say hi. But at the same time, there was something very specific here. So let's talk about Teddy and Sierra. Would you prefer that I kind of tell you some of the things that initially came up and we kind of see if we're heading in the right direction?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll go straight into your questions so we can check on that a little more detail. So I want to talk about Teddy first. So with Teddy, what I kept getting was that there's an anxiousness or an anxiety underlying in some of the things that he's going through. Now, there appeared to be some digestive disorders there, and there's some other things going on, but those were the two that kind of jumped out initially to start with. I think there's another underlying something that's going on that's either causing it or is in relationship to it. So let's start there, and then let's see if we can get a little more detailed. And there were other things that came up, but I want to start there because I think it's causing some of the other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's talk about anxiety. Do you feel or have you connected with him in any way? What's going on with him right now?
Well, about a week ago, I think he stepped on a wasp. He came in and started limping, so I gave him this stuff called Apis. It's a natural thing, and then later that night I gave him a Benadryl. But he did limp for a couple days and was licking it, and I just felt bad because I didn't, he wouldn't let me touch it or to get a good look at it. But that seems to have passed now. He's been fine for days, but and I've went through some struggles on what I feed them. So I get this stuff from the butcher that's like, a montage, and they call it's human grade, but it's for dogs, but it's organ meat and fish oils and things like that. So I cook that up with either a little bit of veggies, or I switch up what I add to it. And so I give that to them, every day, a little bit. But, both of them have intermittent bathroom problems to where, they go a lot loosely, to put it nicely. And so they have that issue. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a full-time job. I'm home a lot. So I think they do get anxiety when I leave for hours at a time, like lunch and errands kind of a thing. But if I'm especially gone like 7 hours, they get pretty anxious. But they both go back and forth between stomach problems, and they always have since I got them. So I've always tried to get food that I think is good for them, but I don't know. I struggle with that. What's the best thing to give them to keep them healthy? Because they're 12 and a half now, so they are getting up there. And the last dogs I had, one was 10 and one was 15, and they died a month apart. So I've always kind of struggled with that. Being 12 and a half, they're right in between that. So I feel like, do I need to prepare myself? They're getting lumps and bumps and those kinds of things as well, now that they're older. So those are the things. I don't know if I should take them to the vet, but they're older. So it's like, how much do I want to put them through? It's quality of life for me. So that's what I struggle with.
Absolutely. So let me tell you, first of all, because I'm hearing this, I want to make sure we set the foundation so you can feel, I know that you're stressed over this, because that came up when I was looking at some things for you. So we'll talk about those, and that's a natural thing we all go through. I'm going through that myself with even my dog here. So, I mean, I totally understand. It is very difficult, especially right now during the changes going on in the atmosphere, in the world. We could touch on probably any subject, and so much is related to what all of us are feeling. And I want to say, I mean, the feeling world first and foremost, but thinking too. So anxiety, some of those things aren't just for us, right? They happen to our dogs, or all of our pets, cats, birds, pretty much everyone, right? All of the time in different ways. So I do believe, just to let you know, I do agree that it was some sort of wasp. I did a double check because at first I thought it might be more of a sticker kind of thing, like a plant sticker that got into the paw. But I do believe from what I'm seeing here that it was definitely some sort of stinging insect. We'll just call it that, right? So I think you're right on with that. It feels like there's some swelling in the area. There still feels like it's tender. But just gently tender, like not the way it was last week. Yeah. The fact that if this was last week when when that sting happened, I'm actually getting, there was a combination. The anxiety came from obviously that, where the fear of what just happened to me, because dogs don't understand that. So all of a sudden pain is intense and he's uncomfortable, and now everything around him is going to be sensitive to him. But the reason I mentioned last week is solar flares, especially this past 4 to 6 weeks, has been longer, but especially the 4 to 6 weeks has been so intense. And last week was really kind of a doozy for us, but also for animals specifically. And there's a really great thing about solar flares for us as people and for our pets, because what happens during solar flares is that the electrical energetics in the grid start to shift. And when that happens, it wobbles for lack of a better word, for the people who are listening out there, this might make a little more sense if I just say it's going to be similar to a glitch in the matrix. We'll just call it that, right? I mean, it's literally, there's an electrical grid that starts to flicker. Now, there's really good things with that, because what it does is it starts to break down the veil between worlds. So we start to be more sensitive to energies, to consciousness, to our feeling world. Your psychic abilities, your intuitiveness is going to open up. So not only does that happen for us as people, but that happens to pets. And so as I talk through this, the reason I want to mention this is because Teddy is a little bit psychic, but Sierra is really, really psychic.
What we're doing at Global Healing Institute is we're taking 25 years of research and we're putting it into a simple approach to teach people.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you even need to see clients per se. You should be your own certified natural health coach. And for your family, you can be a certified natural health coach. Because it teaches you everything you need to know about why you have different conditions, how to clean up your internal environment, how to clean up your external environment, the importance of cleansing and healing the gut, the importance of cleansing and healing the liver, the importance of getting the parasites out of your body.
We're here to teach what good health means in our lives. creating a learning platform that motivates and inspires you to continue to learn the things that you're passionate about. Ultimately, so you can be the best coach for your client.
Okay. So
Okay.
as we kind of talk through this, that may or may not make a difference right now as we talk through these things. But because they're sensitive and they're seeing things beyond what we can see, their sensitivities right now are through the roof. They're confused, especially older dogs, because they've been set in their ways. They don't like change. All of a sudden, things come in. Now the anxiety sets in because they don't know what's happening. Okay. So as we kind of talk through that, the anxiety is still a little bit there for Teddy because he's not sure where the pain came from. So he doesn't, so as he's walking, if you see him kind of looking around, he might be concerned that he's going to do the same thing, step in the wrong spot. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen him doing that. Has he been looking around him lately more often than not?
He's been coming in a lot quicker. He used to kind of patrol, the yard. Like totally, he'd kind of patrol and nibble on bark and, just like it was his domain. And now he's kind of going out there doing his business and coming back. So I hate to think that he's afraid to be out there, but yeah, the wasps here nest in the ground. So along with it, all the other critters in Texas. So
Sure.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but there are a ton of holes in my yard. There's
Okay.
only so much I can do. And there's fire ants here too, which I get treated for, but then it's chemicals. So it's kind of, you do the best you can for your babies.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we deal with life and as it comes. So yeah, I would say he's definitely he has some fear around it, but that will fade. It's just it's so close to him right now. He doesn't understand. And that's really where he's at. So just know it's kind of the combination of what's happening around him energetically, along with the stinging effect, right? The fact that he got hurt during a time where he was extra sensitive and everything was magnified. So what that means right now is that everything's just magnified that much more than it usually would be. Okay. And because he's getting older, he realizes he can't do what he used to do. He can't run from something as quick and he can't protect you. Dogs obviously have that big protection mode that's kind of built within them. So when they perceive a challenge or a fear, it's not just them being fearful for themselves. They're being fearful for you because they cannot protect you any longer, or they realize to a degree that they can't. So they would rather run in the house and feel like they're safe. And then they feel like, okay, I'm safe, which means my parent, my
Human.
friend, my human, my partner, all those things. That means they're safe. So it's an interesting kind of thing that's going on right now, especially with little things like this that aren't so little, because when they happen to your pet and your pet is hurt and you can't see it, you can't find it, and you may not have the dollars to go in and do some, research with imaging and blood work and all of that stuff. It's tough, right? And quality of life is important. So anyway, so you are doing all the right things. So I want to tell you that all your guides and their guides, because they do have guides, they're all saying, you know what? These things happen. It's okay. There's nothing wrong here in that regard, but there are some other things going on. This just happened to be an inconvenience. Okay. So, I'm not seeing an infection at this point, but I don't know if you've done this. I know that you, the only thing I know about you, I think, really, is that you do like essential oils. Did you use any on his paws?
I did a little lavender,
Okay.
and then the Apis and the Benadryl, but that was it.
Okay.
He runs when I get the essential oils out. He just
Of
hauls
course.
it. He does not like the essential oils. I'll use Digest-N sometimes on their bellies if they've got tummy issues, but
Okay.
the lavender, yeah, he really just likes it. He ran from me, but I got a little
Yeah.
on there. But
Well, that's good. So that's the right
should
thing
I
to do.
do
You could
some
do
more?
yeah, I would do a
Okay.
little bit more. So if you could do just a little bit, it doesn't have to be too much. Might even be a little spray bottle. I'd put maybe a little aloe and like a table. Here's what you could do. Uh, let's see. Let me think about this so I give you kind of the right recipe. I'll look it up and I'll put it on the screen. I use this for my dog for, he's older, he's 15, and he's starting to get dry skin because I'm down in Arizona, so it's very, very hot here. So he's getting a dry skin and then also his fur because he's curly haired dog. He doesn't shed, so it just curls up in mats. And I can't get a brush to him. He's so sensitive to everything too right now. So I'll put up on the screen kind of a spray bottle recipe that's got like a conditioner in it. So you can use that for any dog that needs extra little moisture in the skin, but also good for loosening up any kind of matted hair. Okay. But basically, it has things in it like there's a little bit of glycerin as a binder, but primarily it's aloe, a little jojoba oil, fractionated coconut oil, a couple of drops of lavender. But I'll get you the exact recipe. That is really great because it's great for irritation. And because the aloe, it's healing. Everything in it is healing. So this way, it's just kind of an easy thing. Keep the bottle on hand for moments like that. And then if you need it for other things, that's great. But it actually helps with wounds. So this would be good. Okay.
Great.
So we'll do that. Let me double check. I wrote some notes down here because there was something else that came up. I did get the digestive stuff with him and with Sierra. So let's talk about digestion for a minute and food because that came up definitely as a challenge that's going on. When did you change their food? Like when did you actually shift gears with what you're doing now? Was it years ago? Was it recently?
No, I started adding this. I tried using Fresh Pet at the end of last year and early this year, and I got a bad feeling. And I talked to another intuitive friend and basically recommended to stop using those quote Fresh Pet type foods in the grocery store. And so I went to my local butcher and started getting some stuff to amend the kibble that I thought was good kibble. They've been on it for years. And also I call them Cheetos. They're little freeze dried nuggets of like organ meat, or Stella and Chewy's has that. Dr. Marty's has that. So I add those to their kibble to and they love the fluffy freeze dried organ meat stuff. They seem to love it. They gobble it up before they do the kibble. But the raw, I don't feed it raw. I do cook it, the stuff from the butcher for about, I guess, 6 months now. So when this came up, a while ago. So I don't know if it's not working for them, then I need to figure something else out. Or is it good to add that? What does their team say?
Well, so right now, what I'm getting is that there's definitely a problem in that food. Okay. I think based on what I'm hearing is it's the organs. So when you start, there's a lot of controversy out there. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. I totally get it. It's perfectly fine. Just like people, some of us can eat meat, some of us can't. Some people can eat an orange or an apple or a banana, and everyone thinks that should be fine for everyone, and that's not truly the case. So the same thing with dogs. Do you feed them any kind of fruit by chance? Like, do you cut up any apples or?
Not usually fresh fruit. I put some dried cranberries sometimes in with the meat because I've seen different vegetables and fruit mixed in dog food. So I thought, all right, I'll throw some dried cranberries in there to soak up some of the water, I don't know, maybe that's bad. There's nothing bad on the ingredients list, like, sugar added and that kind of thing. on
And
the
they
stuff.
don't do any kind of gluten. They're
No, I get grain-free kibble
Mhm.
because they've always struggled with grains. So if I get them a treat at a drive-through, usually it upsets their stomach because they're not used to the grains or whatever. Grain-free is what I always get them.
Okay. So here's what I'm getting, and here's what I would suggest.
Okay.
It's not that the food is, I don't want to qualify the food as being bad. I think
Right.
what it is, just like with people, it's about how our systems are digesting that food. Because they're older dogs, when you start to change food, I know that makes a big deal. Even though they might really like it, it's too heavy. It's too dense. And because we're changing again, if I go to the energetics of what's happening on the planet, even humans, as we know, are shifting gears and going more towards vegetarian, vegan diets. There's a lot of people going that route because it changes the chemistry and energetics of the physical body. So again, it doesn't make something bad or not bad. It just means that it's different. So what's happening with different animals right now, if they're acclimating quickly, which a lot of them are, into higher energetics, just like people, they're going into a higher consciousness. They're resonating at a much higher frequency. So when that happens, organ meats especially, which are very, very, very dense in energy, because think about it this way: when any kind of food from an animal, once it's killed, whether we eat it or whether the animal eats it, it's dead material. There are no nutrients per se in it, right? So we're eating the energetics of whatever that material is, whether it's live and green or whether it's dead and cooked. What's shifting right now, and this is difficult for, I think, a lot of people, because some people are even changing their own diets because they have to as people, because they can't actually tolerate eating that steak they used to eat, right? This is happening everywhere, and I suspect it's going to continue. Does that mean we're going to become a vegetarian society? It might in the future, but I don't think that's going to happen overnight. But if you talk to people who meditate or in holistic fields, a lot of them become vegetarian only because of the fact that their body can't handle it. Now, a lot of people do, of course, do it for consciousness reasons, and I'm not telling you to just go vegetarian. There's going to be controversy out there. People will say dogs aren't vegetarian, they're carnivores, but I have holistic veterinarians who say that's not the truth. If you dig back, dogs will actually go for a piece of fruit or vegetable matter before they'll go for a kill. So, in the wild, so to speak, right? Now our dogs are domesticated. There's a lot to talk about here, but the key is everyone is different. So the best that we can do is really connect to your pet the best that you can, which I know you're doing, and try and find the easiest, best answer during their last go rounds, right? They might be here for 5 years. They might be here for half a year. We don't know. To your point earlier, our pets leave us at different times, but because they're elderly, their systems have changed, and along with it, right, they're vibrating higher. That I can see, even with the ailments. So it's just that their body is trying to catch up with the energy, just like people, right? So it's like our mind is trying to go one direction, while our body is going a different direction as we go through just the global change on the planet. So with pets, the beauty for them is that they don't have the mind to talk them in and out of things so much like we do, right? They're not going to hold on to, for the most part, they're not going to hold on to, oh, I have to have my chocolate cake every night, because they shouldn't be eating that anyway, but, right, whatever that is. So they can let go a lot easier than us. So with all that being said, I keep getting that the organ piece, so the organs of whatever's in the mix, is a challenge for their bodies to digest. So if you were to, I don't know if your butcher can do this for you, I would just do, are they doing like turkey or chicken, or is they doing beef?
The kibble and their the freeze dried meat stuff is all chicken, and the stuff from the butcher is beef. So I was
Okay.
trying to mix it up. Maybe that wasn't good. I don't know.
Again, it's not good or bad. It's just what's
Yeah.
kind of happening. You know, I know you're judging yourself. Don't judge yourself. It's okay. You're higher. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation, Missy. Your higher selves came in loud and clear earlier. They said, that girl she's judging herself way too much. And I would agree. So
I want to be a good mommy.
I know. And you are actually a very good mom because you are trying different things for them. So I would just say pull back on the beef. If they like it, I would continue the beef, but I would take out the organs.
Okay.
If your guy can do that. So so if it's, I'm going to say steak, whatever it is, cook that up. They do need cooked food. They are not going to do well on raw. Okay.
Yeah. I figured that.
Yeah.
My
a lot
gut
of
said
dogs do well. Yeah. They do
Yeah.
well if they start that way from when they're puppies. It's a little different.
Exactly.
But when they're older and they're kind of used to certain things, it's difficult. So I would say, again, start with that because I'm getting a big like red X in regards to any organ meat right now. Now,
Okay.
it could be that there's something in that. I haven't asked that question, but right now it's just like no organ meat. Now, you could vary it up. I am getting what would be good for them. And you could do this maybe at one meal in the morning, or maybe it's one meal a week. You could do some fruit. So you could do apples, a little banana, certain fruits that are good for pets, for dogs. Try a few things, see what they like if you haven't done that before. Fruit can actually be really good. Now, a lot of people get a little worried because they think it's going to go right through them and cause loose stools, but that's not necessarily the case at all. Bananas are good binders. Pumpkin will loosen up things, but so you probably don't want to go the pumpkin route right now while everything is happening the other way. But
Yeah.
but a good binder, because the potassium is really good for the dogs, would be great. Another thing you can do, but I was going to mention this to Michael too, for his little dog. Celtic sea salt. So what I'm seeing for both Sierra and Teddy is that they're both, and this happens a lot as dogs get older too. Mineral contents change in the biome of the animal. So the Celtic sea salt can be really great, but you don't want to put it just in their water. A lot of people do this, but it's not the way to go. So what you want to do is you could just take a couple of little pieces of Celtic sea salt, just a little pinch, tiny pinch, and not any salt. So it has to be Celtic because that's a raw salt, right? So you're going to take just a teeny pinch. You can put it on your finger for them to lick it or stick it on their tongue. Then if they're good water drinkers, they might go to their water and drink immediately. And that's the hoping. That's where, you're going to hope for that. A lot of dogs don't do that. They might like the salt, but at the same time, they may not go directly to drink water. If they're not good water drinkers, I would just get one of those lovely animal syringes, the fat kind, that you could just put a little water in and just shoot a little water in their mouth. All right? That helps just kind of get it going. When you put it on the tongue, it goes right into the system. Your dog will get all the minerals that it needs. And you just do this little pinch, could be every day, every couple of days. That can help greatly because now the mineral contents are working in the body quickly and will help balance everything else that's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. So that was Ted. What other questions for Teddy? Was there any others specifically on that?
He has hardened chest. Like it started out with these fluidy lumps.
Yep.
And they've hardened over the years. And I'm very gingerly if I pick him up to go in or out of the truck. Is he in a lot of pain? Or should I be going to the doctor regarding this? Or is he fine enough? Or,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, okay. And does Sierra have those as well?
Hers are in different areas, like
Areas,
her
but she has
thigh.
them,
Yeah,
right? And
they're
because that's what
small.
I'm
but yeah.
saying. So I was going to bring this up at the end, but we'll talk about it now since you brought it up.
Sure.
The ones on Sierra, they're not as hard as Teddy's. Is that correct?
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
soft. Okay.
Softer.
Yeah, yeah, softer. Okay. So so here's what I'm going to tell you, and I don't want you to panic or anything. Usually when those lumps are soft, they're fine enough. It's like a, fatty tissue, sorry. So the fatty tissue, most cases when it comes to pets, if they're soft, you can leave them. There are ways to get rid of them, but at their age and what they're going through, I don't know that I would talk about a protocol because it would probably be too involved to have to go through it all for them and for you. Okay. We could talk about that though if you want to, but what I'm seeing specifically though is that when they're soft, normally if you took them into your traditional vet, they can do surgery and cut them out. It doesn't stop them from growing back, but that is kind of a normal thing for pets these days. Unfortunately, it's because of the world we live in. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the toxins out there and what's happening. But are they harmful? Technically, when they're soft, no. When they are hard, though, yes, they go into the potential of being cancerous. Okay. So that's why I don't want you to panic. There are things that you can do. Yes, you can go in and you can go to the vet. Here's what I would have. I think you've thought about this already, so but we'll talk about it now. Is that it's quality of life, pure and simple. Would you, if you knew that they were a problem today and you went into the vet and they said, oh, yeah, it's cancer, then by the time they tell you it's a $20,000 surgery or whatever it's going to be, are you going to do that? Okay. If the answer is no, you're not going to do that. You want quality of life, let them be. There's a chance that even if it's cancerous, right? Even if it is cancer, that Teddy will still live a full life that he intended and it will not affect him in the way that most people would assume. But we have to look at our belief system. It's tied into what we do for our pets. So we can live with cancer cells. We can live with certain things and they can be at bay and we wouldn't even know it. We do all the time. However, with our pets, obviously, we have to look at things differently because we're making decisions for them on their behalf. That is the hardest thing ever. So I totally get it. But I don't see Teddy in a situation that is going to be a dire straight kind of scenario for you or for him. So he's living, and I'm hearing he's going to live to the fullest that he can live to. He has a trajectory, he has a time that he will depart, but during that time frame, this is not going to be what takes him, so to speak. He would live his time either way. So I don't know if that makes sense, but basically, I'll try and put it a different way because I'm just getting a lot of information here, probably more than what we really want to talk about, which is why I'm trying to decipher pieces for you. But all in all, when they're hard, that's a concern, okay, in the overall world. Can you do something about it? Yes. There are some things. I'm going to make some suggestions. All right. So one thing that we can do that might help Teddy is oil of oregano. So oil of oregano, believe it or not, is actually really, really great for dogs because it basically has got the antibacterial, antiviral, it's antiparasitic, it's also antifungal, right? So things that can help in two different ways is that you can actually give him oil of oregano. That kind of thing I know is hard. It's in regards to the taste because even all of us, as humans don't, it's so strong. But there are ways to kind of diffuse it to be able to, because you want to dilute it. You never want to give it to them straight anyway in regards to, on their tongue, that kind of thing. It just burns. But if you dilute 2 to 3 drops in a teaspoon of MCT oil or even almond oil would work, you can give this to your dog like 3 times a day. And then you can also use it for like topical use. So you can mix a drop of oregano oil with a teaspoon of the almond oil and then kind of rub it on, especially the gently on the areas that are hard. So that's what I would recommend there. Other things, like if you see anything where the skin starts to break at all, if you have any of that going on, or if it starts to flake, because that can happen on those particular lumps, you can also incorporate like Manuka honey. And if you do that, Manuka honey is amazing. I mean, it's sticky, obviously, but the one thing about it, if you apply it to certain areas, you could literally even add a little colostrum to it. It'll actually stimulate any kind of wound healing. But those types of things are amazing. And it also helps, the honey helps with digestive problems as well. Helps take down the anti-inflammatory, kind of thing too. So what I'm getting for you, I'm kind of looking at a different thing here I might mention. I'll put this up, I think, for everyone as well, because this might be good for Sierra as well as Michael's dog and pretty much anyone else who may want to use this for some different things. It helps with digestion, and it can also help with things like ringworm, kennel cough, those types of things also. Is you kind of want to apply the Manuka honey in different ways. So if they're taking it internally, especially for digestive issues, you can take it with turmeric. So I've got a recipe that is really great. Dogs love it. And if you mix it, you can mix it with regular honey as well. But when you're really looking for medicinal assistance, when you're going in to really remedy something specific, you want to use the Manuka. And you want to use a Manuka honey that has a UMF of 10 or more plus. So they have numbers associated with them. For anyone who's not familiar with Manuka honey, it's more of a medicinal honey. It's fantastic for people. It's fantastic for animals. But the UMF can be, sometimes people might find them at, they're a little more expensive. So if someone gets excited when they go to Costco, they might see one with a UMF 5. That's expensive for what it is. So because the 5 isn't really going to give you the medicinal piece you need. You want to go 10 or more. Usually 15 or 20 is great. If you can do that, that's wonderful. So the turmeric is going to help pull down any kind of inflammation. The raw honey is going to help mend as an antibiotic and that kind of thing. So for anyone out there who might have a pet that has, again, they've got an open wound on their skin, you can use just the Manuka honey itself. You can mix that with a little castor oil or coconut oil, but when it comes to ingesting for the system, a systemic kind of situation, which both Teddy has and Sierra, then you kind of take that mixture, then they make little balls. So there's like little round balls with that, and then feed it to them as a treat. They're fantastic. They taste great. People can eat them. It's people-based food. So you could eat them. It's a great treat for people as much as it is for pets. But this is a really fantastic for animals. Trying to think if there's anything else. The other thing that you could also do, olive leaf is actually really good for dogs as well. It's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. So whenever you have those components and it's safe for your pet, that's really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Now, I know that's a lot of information. Did you have any questions on what I just mentioned?
Nope, that was a lot. I took notes.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well, you'll get a show out of this, right? You'll have a
Right.
recording. So, which is great. So that'll help. And like I said, I'll put information as much as I can, make sure the team has it to post. Let's talk about Sierra real quick, because I know she's got some things going on as well. I'm not worried about the fatty tissue that she's dealing with, similar to I think everything I'm being told is that this is kind of natural for this type of breed, is that this does happen in this breed. There are certain breeds that have these, fatty tissue kind of things. However, I am seeing something, and is she having a problem or anything that you might be aware of with an eye?
Well, I'm wondering, they're starting to get a little bit cloudy,
Okay.
She does have a weird little bounce, like she
Her right eye? Is it in her right eye?
her whole body will
Oh, her
bounce
whole
back,
body. Okay.
and she loses her balance, and her
Okay.
jumping skills have decreased. Like she misses, or she'll be standing there and she'll just kind of fall, a little bit. She's been having a neurological thing. I've looked it up. It's called white shaker dog syndrome or something, and the vet said that there's not really a treatment. It's not epilepsy. It's not a seizure of any kind. So it's just a weird little, like a spasm. And it's gotten worse. It's been going on for like half her life, like for 4 or 5 years now. So,
Yep.
but
Okay.
it's definitely getting worse. But her eyes, I have not noticed anything. So I'll have to pay more attention. Like
There's something going on with that, but I think it's related.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the reason I mention that is just pay attention to it. I don't think you have to worry about it at this particular juncture, from what I'm being told. The things that we just talked about, even though I know we were talking about Teddy, but we know that they live together. If you do one for one, you're going to do it for the other. And actually, the things we've talked about today will help both dogs, so it's not a problem. But what I am getting is there is something, I'm seeing it in her right eye specifically, almost like it's a lazy eye, but it is something that is causing maybe a little bit of blurring for her. And if she's losing her balance at times, it could be because the eyesight, there's a pressure kind of happening. I have a feeling what's going on is those little bumpy lumpies that you're seeing on the outer part of the skin are happening in the internal as well. And so there's a little bit of a lump that I think is causing some pressure in her neurological, on one side of her brain. It's actually, I think, on the left side, but it's obviously affecting her right vision. I think with doing these pieces, what I'm getting from the teams here is that you will actually, if you just pay attention to that, if you see it get worse, let me know, we'll reassess her. But right now, if you do the turmeric, you do some of the other things we talked about, that will start to reduce the inflammation anyway. And there's every chance that with everything we've talked about, that's just going to take care of it, and you're going to start to see her change in a positive way. So I am seeing that. Just double check. I'm going to check something on her real quick. She's actually, and with everything being said with what she's dealing with, I want you to know she's happy. She's a really happy dog.
Yeah.
So, do you know that about her? Like, she loves
She
you.
genuinely smiles and she follows me around. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's really attached to you in that regard. Like, she loves you. She's so appreciative of you helping her and being there. And Teddy is too, but it's different. Like, Sierra feels like you're her sister, right? Like you're her not just a parent, like you're a comrade. You're a friend through the multitudes of lifetimes. And so there's something very special there that I definitely see. It's different than your relationship with Teddy. Not that that's not good, because it is good. He loves you just as much, but it's different, right?
Yeah.
Now I am seeing with both dogs, there is a little bit of disalignment in their chakra system, which is, I think, just kind of goes hand in hand with what's happening here. I'm going to do a little bit of work, if that's okay with you, on them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that right now, but obviously I'm not going to make everyone sit and wait, but I do want to do that for just a minute. I'll we'll have the team edit this out, but I just want to make sure because it's just going to be silence for everybody. It'll be boring. But I think we can actually just kind of perk them both up a little bit by just doing this. I see it especially in Teddy right now with his chakra system. So are you okay with that? If I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Give me a second. There we go. Yeah. I knew dogs are amazing. They react so positively to energy that it's unbelievable how fast they recoup. So, okay, so we're good there. What else was Sierra other than she's dealing with the same digestive situation? I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She's very sensitive that way. Her tummy has always been sensitive. Just the seizure-like things that you answered that. So we've got that's a lot. That's a lot on the dog. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, like I
the-
said, everything we talked about truly can be done for both dogs. And I think you'll see, let me see if I can check in on a trajectory. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm hearing is that it'll be about 5 weeks before you see like a major difference. But if you pay attention to these little things and you go into the next 2 to 4 weeks with the intention of just seeing them happy and whole, all of that good stuff. You really can just hold that energy for them, hold the space while you do some of these other things. Quite possibly see a completely different dog in 5 weeks. Like you're going to be surprised at how well they're both doing. And that'll be good for us to check in. I'm curious because I know they're dealing with a lot, but I am seeing that can be, definitely can be changed.
very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, everybody. Okay, yay. Michael?
Well, yeah, I'm here. And all
Okay.
I can say is, wow. I know Missy's got to be saying, wow. I've got, I was taking notes too. I mean, come on. I don't know how anyone can go through this and not want to have a session with Tam.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. I've got a lot of questions here, but I'm going to hold off on that because I know we're going to be doing a follow-up again down the road here. Because I know you, Emma, I know you've got some questions about your dog, and I'm anxious to hear about those. So what did you have that you wanted to ask Tam about?
Thank you so much, Tam. You're amazing. And I just can't help. I would love if you have time just to ask a question or two about my dog. Well, I have a dog. She's 3 years old and I live in Texas. So, there's so many things in Texas. I think Missy would know that we have to deal with. One of the things, of course, is like it's flea season. It's also super hot out. And I've just noticed when I take her out for walks, there's just, every other week there seems to be like something else. But one thing that's been consistent is she finds she's just, and it's actually gotten more so, is she's eating grass a lot. And now she's like transitioning to like, oh, here's a leaf of some kind or something. And she's just ingesting that. And then also there's things, sometimes on the sidewalks that she sees and picks up and starts chewing. And we're like, is that a chicken bone or what it is? And it's just like, so then like the next day she'll not go to the bathroom regularly. So just like, I just want to, but one of the things is also, I want to check to see if there's any gastrointestinal issues that you can, if you can do an energy scan on my dog. And then, also check to see if there's any parasites. That's something I'm concerned with. I mean, it's hard to know if it's signs, if there's some signs to look for, if that's something that I need to, address, because, if I heard fleas can carry parasites, things that are picked, on the sidewalks that the dog starts chewing, we don't know. So if you don't mind doing a scan on my dog, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let me take a peek here.